I built a nursery with my bare hands when my wife's sister got pregnant and needed a place. Painted the walls, bought the crib. One night I overheard her say, "This won't last, he's not even part of us." My wife said, "Let's just get what we can while we can." My hands were still covered in paint when I'm a 42-year-old guy from Rockford, Illinois. My name's Brian. I work in construction, mostly drywall and remodeling. I've done it my whole adult life. It's hard work, but it pays the bills and keeps my hands busy. I don't mind it. Been married to my wife, Callie, for 8 years. No kids. Just me, her, and my old dog, Buck. We never had a big life. No vacations, no fancy dinners. Just quiet nights, grocery runs, and weekend projects. I thought that was enough. 2 months ago, things changed. It was a Saturday night. I was out back finishing a firewood rack when I heard a car pull up. Didn't think much of it. Then I heard voices. Callie's and someone else's. I came inside and saw Melanie, her younger sister, standing in our living room with a suitcase and a stomach that looked like it could pop any minute. I hadn't seen Melanie in a while, maybe over a year. She always felt like a visitor, never part of our day-to-day. We were polite to each other, but we never got close. She worked on and off, bounced from one bad boyfriend to another, always talking about how she was meant for something bigger than Rockford. This time, her eyes were red, mascara smeared, face puffy from crying. She didn't say much, just sat on the couch and wiped her face over and over again. Callie sat next to her, rubbing her back. When I asked what happened, Callie said the baby's father bailed. Some guy named Drew. Melanie thought he'd stick around, but as soon as she said she was keeping the baby, he vanished. Changed his number. Blocked her on everything. I felt bad for her. I really did. I wouldn't wish that on anyone. Still, I figured it was just for a few days. Let her calm down, regroup, maybe go stay with a friend or head back to their parents. But then Callie pulled me aside the next day. "She needs more than just a couch," she said. "She's scared. She's all alone, Brian." So what are we supposed to do? I was thinking, maybe we could turn the den into a nursery, just until she figures things out. Our den was my space. I used it for my tools, my paperwork, my quiet time. But I didn't say no. I never said no to Callie. I thought helping out would mean something, that it showed what kind of man I was. So I cleared it out. Packed up my stuff, boxed up my tools, moved everything into the garage. I patched holes in the walls, sanded the wood trim, and picked up paint samples. I asked Melanie what color she liked. She barely looked up from her phone. Something soft. Green, maybe? Not mint, though. Sage. So sage it was. I bought a crib off a guy from Facebook Marketplace, then spent 2 nights sanding it down and repainting it. I fixed a leak in the ceiling, replaced the fan, and added blackout curtains because Melanie can't sleep with too much light. I even built a changing table out of old cabinets I had in the basement. Every weekend, I worked on that nursery. During the week, I handled my regular jobs. I'd come home exhausted, but I still put in time because I wanted to get it done before the baby came. I spent over $2,000 of my own money. No one offered to chip in. No one asked if I was okay doing it. The night it all went to hell was just a regular Wednesday. I got home late from a site in Beloit. Long day. I was supposed to go back the next morning, but I wanted to knock out the second coat of paint. I had a small light in the room, the door cracked open for ventilation. Buck was laying near the hall, half asleep. That's when I heard them. Melanie was in the kitchen with Callie. Their voices carried. I wasn't trying to eavesdrop, but I couldn't help it. The house was quiet. Melanie said, "This won't last, you know? He's not even really part of us." I stopped brushing. Then Callie responded, "I know. Let's just get what we can while we can." I froze. They didn't know I could hear. Maybe they didn't care. Let's just get what we can while we can. My hands were covered in paint. I remember looking down at them. Green on my fingertips, knuckles cracked from sanding, a cut I hadn't noticed still bleeding near my thumb. My back hurt. My neck was stiff. I'd been killing myself to make that room perfect. And they were just using me. I didn't go into the kitchen. I didn't say anything. I walked out of the room, down the hall, and into the bedroom. I grabbed my duffel, shoved in enough clothes for a few days, my wallet, phone charger, some tools I didn't want to leave behind. Callie was still talking with Melanie when I passed the kitchen. I didn't even look at them. Buck followed me like he knew something was wrong. We drove to the edge of town and checked into a cheap motel. I paid in cash. I didn't answer my phone. Callie called 3 times that night. I let it ring. Melanie texted the next morning, "Where are you?" I didn't answer. The next message from Callie, "I don't know what this is about, but you need to stop being dramatic." Then later, "You're acting like a child. You don't get to walk out on your wife." Wife. Funny how quickly that word became a threat instead of a comfort. I stayed quiet for 4 days. During that time, I started pulling everything together. All the receipts. All the Amazon orders. Everything I bought for the nursery was in my name with my card. Even the crib and fan, I had Venmo and PayPal records. I started taking photos of the room before I left. Every corner I painted. Everything I installed. I didn't know what I'd need it for yet, but I wasn't going to be blindsided. I scheduled an appointment with a lawyer I found online who specialized in property and spousal separation. I don't want a divorce. Not yet. But I want to protect what's mine. They think I left because my feelings got hurt. But I'm not done. They used me like I was just a wallet with hands. Let's see what happens when those hands stop building things for them. I'm going to take my time. And when I move, they won't see it coming. The lawyer's office was in a little strip mall between a vape shop and a dry cleaner. Real quiet. I sat in the waiting room for 10 minutes before a guy in his mid-50s called my name. His handshake was firm and he didn't waste time with small talk. His name was Patrick. He used to be a divorce attorney but now mostly handled financial separation and property protection. I told him everything. How I'd paid for the nursery, how Melanie moved in, how Callie never worked and suddenly started talking like I was just a placeholder. He didn't look surprised. "She's got no job? No income?" he asked, flipping through the paperwork I handed him. "No. I've paid for everything since the day we got married." He nodded slowly. "Then you have leverage. A lot more than you think. We went over the house deed only in my name. The mortgage? Also mine. I'd bought the place 3 years before I even met Callie. He told me that unless I officially added her name, she had no legal ownership of the house. Then he asked the question that made everything shift. "Did you ever sign any shared asset agreements?" "No," he leaned back in his chair. "Then she's living in your house, spending your money, and giving shelter to someone who's not related to you legally. You have rights, Brian. Strong ones." Something clicked in me. I wasn't powerless. For days I'd been sleeping in that stiff motel bed, stewing in anger. But now I had something better. A plan. I left the office with a checklist and new fire in my chest. I opened a new bank account under just my name. Transferred my direct deposit to it. Closed our joint credit card. She hadn't worked in years, so she couldn't reopen it without me. I stopped paying for the Amazon Prime account she used. Changed the locks on my toolshed remotely. I had a smart lock, thank God. I even shut off the nursery camera I'd installed. Something told me they were still using it. That night, I drove back to the house. Didn't go inside. Just parked across the street and waited. Sure enough, at 9:30 p.m., I saw a man walk up the driveway. He wasn't the pizza guy. He wasn't family. Tall, skinny, scruffy. Looked too comfortable when Callie opened the door. She smiled wide, leaned in, kissed him on the cheek. Then let him inside. My hands tightened on the steering wheel. That wasn't just a visitor. The next day, I started watching the door every night. 3 out of 5 nights, that guy came by. Sometimes stayed late. Once, I saw him leave in the morning. I never yelled. Never knocked. I took photos. Time-stamped. All of it. That's when the twist hit me. Melanie wasn't just staying there. She was living like a queen. I saw new clothes delivered to the porch. A package from Pottery Barn. DoorDash every other night. I could see it all through the app tied to the Ring camera. They never disabled it because they didn't know I still had access. They thought I was gone. That they could take over the house, milk it, live easy while I rotted in a motel. But now I knew more. Callie wasn't alone. She had someone. Maybe had him even before I left. And Melanie? She'd been using this whole situation to settle in. I even caught her posting on Facebook. Smiling selfies in my nursery. Acting like this was all her doing. The paint on those walls? That was me. The crib? My money. The new ceiling fan? I installed it by hand. I wasn't going to just sit back anymore. So I went back to Patrick. "I think there's another man," I told him. He didn't flinch. Good. That makes things easier. I gave him the photos. The dates. The screenshots of Melanie's posts showing off her new home life. Even one where she jokingly said, "We're nesting now. Can't wait to meet my little man in our cozy space." I had him help me draft a notice. It wasn't an eviction. Callie wasn't a tenant. It was a notice to vacate. Legal. Sharp. Delivered by certified mail and taped to the door with a time-stamped photo. 30 days. That's what they had. And I made sure to pause every utility that was in my name. Not shut off. Just paused. Internet? Gone. Power? Set to go off after the 30-day window. Water? Final notice sent. Trash pickup? Cancelled. I waited. Took them 3 days to notice. Callie called first. I didn't pick up. Then a text. "What is this? We have a baby on the way. You can't just do this." Another text an hour later. "I knew you were petty, but this is cruel. You'll regret this." I almost laughed. I'd regret cutting off a free ride? Let's be real. The only thing I regretted was not seeing through this sooner. Then I got something that really knocked the air out of me. Melanie posted on Facebook again. This time it wasn't a photo. It was a GoFundMe. Title: Single mom and sister left homeless by abusive man. She put up photos of the nursery. Said her sister's husband had walked out and was now trying to throw a pregnant woman onto the streets. She even used a photo of me, one where I was holding a paint roller. She called me unstable and dangerous. I sat in my truck shaking. Not with fear. With rage. This wasn't just about them using me anymore. They were trying to rewrite the story. But I had receipts. Photos. Audio. Legal standing. And if they wanted war, they were about to find out how far I'd go. 3 days after the GoFundMe went live, it was already at $2,800. I sat there staring at it, reading the comments. People I'd never met calling me a monster. A coward. Some even said they'd show up to teach me a lesson, if they lived closer. It was public, with my face in it, and half the town was starting to see it. Melanie played it smart. She made it about the baby. Pushed the narrative hard. He walked out on us. He wants to evict a pregnant woman. We just need a little support to get through this rough time. Callie didn't post directly, but she liked every comment. Even her mother shared it. That part hit harder than I expected. I always tried to be good to her family. Her mom never warmed up to me much, but I never thought she'd turn on me like that. What they didn't realize was how dumb they were to use my picture and my full name in the post. It was defamation, and I had all the proof I needed. I didn't want to go to war online. That's not my style. I let other people scream into the void. But I wasn't going to sit quietly either. So I made one call to a woman named Claire. She was my ex from years before I met Callie. We hadn't talked in forever, but she worked PR now and had a side hustle helping people clean up online damage. I gave her everything: the GoFundMe page, the screenshots, the video feed from my old Ring camera. She paused when I sent her one specific clip. The new guy walking in at 10:42 p.m. with a six-pack, kissing Callie on the lips, and Melanie laughing in the background, calling him Daddy number 2. Claire replied, "You want me to kill this quietly or go loud?" I said, "Let's go loud." She drafted a simple, professional post. Nothing nasty, just facts. She posted it from an anonymous blog under the title, "The Man Behind the Paint." What this viral GoFundMe isn't telling you, it had screenshots of the nursery receipts, proof the house was in my name, video stills of Melanie's social media posts before and after I left, and of course the Ring footage of the other man visiting regularly. Claire dropped it into local Facebook groups, Reddit threads, and emailed it to local news tip lines. Took 48 hours to go viral. The comments started changing fast. Wait, isn't this the actual owner of the house? She never said her sister's husband paid for everything. Are we being played? Then someone posted Melanie's GoFundMe earnings alongside the footage of her unboxing a brand new $400 diaper bag and a haul of Lululemon leggings. The GoFundMe was shut down 2 days later. But it didn't stop there. Turns out someone who donated worked for DHS and filed a fraud report. Another person emailed the footage to the county housing office. Melanie and Callie weren't just accused of defamation now. They were being looked into for public assistance fraud. I hadn't even known they were applying for benefits. Then came the final twist. And it came from someone I didn't expect. The guy from the ring footage. He found me, sent me a message on Facebook, said his name was Travis, claimed he had no idea what was going on. He'd been dating Callie on and off for a few months. He thought she was separated. Said she told him I was abusive and had abandoned her and her disabled sister. Yeah, she apparently told him Melanie was disabled. He asked to meet. I didn't answer right away. But then he sent me screenshots. Conversations with Callie. Messages where she said things like, once the baby's here, he'll back off. Just act like you don't know anything. And he's weak. He'll go away if we stay firm. And the kicker? A photo Callie sent Travis. Of my will. She'd taken a picture of the folder in our closet with the words last will and testament across the top. I never told her where I kept that. That's when my stomach dropped. They weren't just freeloading. They were thinking long-term. And I suddenly started wondering if they were planning something more than just a scam. Something worse. I realized I had to move faster. Because if they were looking at my will, then this wasn't just revenge anymore. This was survival. The night I saw that photo of my will, something inside me snapped wide open. Everything that had happened. The lies, the GoFundMe scam, the smirks, the paint on my hands, all of it, it wasn't just betrayal anymore. It was dangerous. I didn't sleep that night. I just sat there in that cheap motel room staring at the photo Travis sent me, thinking about all the ways this could have gone if I hadn't left when I did. What were they hoping for? That I'd break down? That I'd give up the house? That I'd drink myself to death? Or maybe they were waiting for the insurance money. I didn't even tell Travis what I was planning. I thanked him, then blocked him. He was just another fool in their game, and I didn't need him getting in the way. I spent the next 3 days moving in silence. Got back in touch with my lawyer, Patrick. I showed him the screenshots, the video, the GoFundMe, and the messages from Travis. I asked if it was enough. He said, "It's more than enough. We can bury them." We filed a formal restraining order against both Callie and Melanie. Not just for harassment, for fraud, defamation, and potential estate tampering. I gave Patrick power of attorney over my house and business accounts. Then, with his help, I drafted a formal eviction backed by local law enforcement. It wasn't just a civil matter anymore. We looped in the sheriff's department. When you have enough evidence, scams, misuse of funds, possible welfare fraud, they take it seriously. On the 30th day of their notice, I wasn't even in Rockford. I was 2 towns over, having coffee with my cousin who owns a towing company. While Callie and Melanie were inside eating breakfast, I know this because Claire had someone keeping eyes on them. 2 marked sheriff cruisers pulled up, followed by a locksmith and 2 movers I hired. They gave Callie and Melanie exactly 20 minutes to gather whatever they could carry. Callie was screaming. Melanie was crying. The sheriff's deputy handed them the restraining orders in manila envelopes. They tried to argue, said I abandoned them, said I was unstable. The officer calmly pulled out a copy of the GoFundMe, the fraud report, and the footage showing Travis entering the house over and over. Melanie screamed when they carried the crib outside. "That's for my baby." The deputy said, "Ma'am, you didn't buy it. The court has proof it belongs to the homeowner." They left with 2 suitcases between them. Everything else, furniture, clothes, electronics, they lost it all. Movers boxed it up. Most of it went into storage. I paid for just long enough for my lawyer to catalog what was legally mine. The rest? Trash pickup. I changed the locks that afternoon. The Ring doorbell? Replaced. Wi-Fi? Password changed. That night, for the first time in months, I slept in my own bed. Alone. Quiet. But it didn't end there. Remember the fraud investigation? 2 weeks later, both Melanie and Callie were contacted by DHS. Turns out they'd been applying for benefits using my income as proof of shared household need without my consent. The GoFundMe money? That went under federal review. Melanie got slapped with state-level welfare fraud charges and was forced to pay restitution on the GoFundMe donors. Every cent they raised had to be returned, and the donors were notified of the scam. Several of them filed small claims suits. Callie? She was named as an accomplice. Not only did she lie on government forms, she also tried to use private information from my will to imply I was mentally unwell. My lawyer submitted all of it. She lost everything. She tried moving in with her mom, but that didn't last long. Her mom had a stroke 3 months later, and with the fraud charges tied to their names, no job would touch them. They moved into a tiny rental outside Freeport. Word got around. People in small towns remember. Especially when you scam a community for baby money while wearing designer shoes. I heard Callie and Melanie fought constantly. The baby was born a month later. Healthy, thank God. I would never wish harm on a child. But Melanie had no car, no money, and no friends left. She tried to reach out once. Send me a long message on Facebook asking if we could talk. I blocked her before I even finished reading it. As for me, I cleaned out the nursery. Repainted it, dark blue this time. Put in a workbench. Turned it into something that felt like mine again. I took time off work. Saw a therapist. Worked through what I'd missed for years. Turns out I wasn't just betrayed. I was used because I allowed myself to be. I ignored signs. Let my love for Callie blind me. Kept saying yes when I should have said no. I wasn't perfect, but I wasn't weak either. 6 months later, I met someone new. Her name's Dana. No drama. No lies. Just someone who listens and doesn't treat me like a bank with legs. She doesn't even know about all this yet. Maybe someday I'll tell her. But for now, I'm good. The house is quiet. The walls are clean. And every time I walk past the nursery that never got used, I remind myself, next time someone asks me to build a room for them, they'd better damn well earn it.